Yes, you read the title right. Yes, you likely are trying too hard when it comes to experiencing the supernatural, and especially when it comes to engaging the royal family and meeting them for yourself, really building a relationship. Um, a lot of you come from many different backgrounds, many different beliefs. You were part of different cultures. You studied in different sects. And all of that is great. All of that is amazing. But sometimes previous experiences get in the way. It fills our mind with too much stuff, and we subconsciously start to build a structure that tells us what needs to happen in order for something else to happen. Especially in the way that our world works, we think more transactionally. If I do this, then this happens. Because I've done this, that means happens a lot in the spiritual community dominantly, where people will assume that because of their years of study, their years of research, and their years of simply being in the community, engaging, and even listening to other people, that somehow equates to mastery that they themselves have, and it doesn't. I read a quote that said that you can read about swimming all day long, but there comes a moment where you just need to get in the water. That reading about swimming doesn't turn into swimming. You can't really avoid the experiences. And with spirituality, you definitely need the experiences yourself. So, of course, there's getting over it's the ego pretending to be the expert so that it doesn't have to get the experience. That happens. In many avenues, people will find themselves in that trap where instead of really getting in it, succeeding or failing, we sit back with other people's information and regurgitate. Oh, this teacher said this, that teacher said that, this teacher said that. Oh, I learned this from this person. And while that is great, the problem comes in that for a lot of people in that setting, you're actually covering an insecurity. You're afraid of failing, you're afraid of being let down, you're afraid of something going wrong, you're afraid of being wrong. So you're protecting your pride, you're protecting your ego by never having the experience. So, should someone ever question you, you never put any chips out there. Should something go wrong, should some theology shift, it was never your beliefs. It was such and such said it. I learned it from them. I learned it from them. You never were the one with the experience, so you get to push back from responsibility. And that's a trap people either make consciously or they make subconsciously. And a lot of people make it. First, the fear of failure oftentimes makes you make this take longer. I've been doing, let's just say, in my one on one sessions that I have, um, I've met a lot of people. Most people assume that they're broken before we start the session. And most people have a great experience just doing my techniques for the first time because I cut through all the filler that they had in their soul. They're thinking that in order to have certain experiences, you have to be an avatar, you have to be a guru, you have to be a prophet, an apostle, you have to be a saint, you have to be chosen from birth to have these experiences. And it's much simpler than that, that it takes years of training, years of meditation. I made this joke on call with someone. I said, a lot of the things that I hear from people during my consultations and my Q&As that I have with people, they're like, I've been meditating for years and I've never had an out of body experience. And I'm like, you know what that sounds like to me? I've been drinking water for years and I've never learned how to swim. Is that, yeah, they share water, but one doesn't equate to the other. Those are two separate experiences. They do different things. You're not necessarily guaranteed an experience just through meditation. Overall, the thing that I want to emphasize for y'all is this is very easy if you let it be easy. And truthfully, it's as easy as you let it be. For me, when I'm exploring these other worlds, especially, I'm not actually going anywhere. I'm choosing to experience where I already am. So that cuts out on the travel. I don't have time delay. I don't have a startup lag. There's a lot of things that I've heard other people do in order to either start having a relationship with God, or with the royal family, what they do in order to start their prayer, in order to uh, try to go into an experience. And I'm like, okay, not saying that doesn't work, but golly, that's a lot of steps. Some people, they're like, okay, first I like to exercise, first I like to go work out, and then I do some qigong, then I like to meditate, then after that I then pray. I'm like, golly, that's a lot just to have, just to talk. So when people hear my stories, they assume that I have this access, and this is where I am now, and I'm not telling y'all how I got to where I am, like it's some secret. No, I started simple, so it's still simple. The way you practice is the way that you're stuck with forever. Back when I played football, the coaches used to say that. They're like, however you practice is what you're going to do on game day. So I make sure to only practice in a way that I want to deal with all the time. Whatever I have to do to get it is what I have to do to maintain it. So even as simple as building a relationship with the royal family, I keep that simple because I already know they want this relationship more than I do. That's a given. If you can accept anything that I tell you at face value, accept that, accept the fact that they want to talk to you and spend time with you more than you. So any failures aren't because they just don't want you to have the experience. Oftentimes they're recognizing delays within yourself and they're respecting them. Many of you are afraid to actually meet the royal family. I've had people tell me that. I've been doing this for a decade. They're like, well, what's the Father going to say to me? They're afraid just to be in the presence because they're afraid to hear back. I've met people like that. It's very common. They're afraid because they have the archetype of what church told them that God is. So they're expecting to meet someone who only knows how bad they are and is waiting to punish them. And that's not really it. Our experience with the royal family fits the parable of the prodigal son more than anything. That you think there's a punishment waiting for you, and instead there's a hug and a feast and a celebration at your return. They're not looking to punish you for your ignorance. That's what makes it ignorance. You didn't know. Can't punish someone for what they don't know. Only if they're choosing ignorance, because then it's not ignorance. Now it's a choice. We call that stupidity. That's just bad decision making. Some people are afraid of what they'll look like. They're afraid of what the Father might look like. They're afraid to actually see because they have in the back of their mind, no one sees God and lives. So the idea of being in the presence of a God that kills you on contact kind of scares people. That's not really real. The royal family isn't killing you when they meet you. We wouldn't exist in the first place. First thing we saw, Adam was created, was the face of the God that blew breath into his lungs. We can see them just as well as they see us and just as well as we see each other. If we let ourselves have those experiences, it can be easy. So yes, it's great to recognize that they are God, that they are divine, that they are royalty, but you also need to recognize that you are God, you are divine, you are royalty. They are your family. So talk to them like family, treat them like regular people, interact with them the same way you'd interact with another person. And you find that the interaction goes much smoother. Don't talk to them about the things that you really don't care about. Be a kid again. Start from your state of wonder and just start asking them questions that you care about. Ask them dumb questions. What's your favorite food? You have a favorite color. What did you do today? Tell me something about you that I can't read anywhere. You know, have fun. Be a kid again. Just ask questions for the sake of asking questions. And it's in that space, it's in that state that you start to hear back more sooner rather than later, because it's not about them trying to put you through a hazing ritual of, all right, when they get to the 6th hour, then I'm going to talk to them. They're not doing that. truth be told, the level of our reception is the level of our reception to them. Meaning that sometimes it takes us 2 minutes to hear, to really listen and settle into the space where they are. Other times it takes us a few hours to settle enough and be comfortable enough in that space where we're actually interacting with them. It's not them that's changing, it's our awareness of them. See, practicing the presence is more about an awareness than it is about going somewhere. You're dealing with something, you're dealing with people who are omnipresent. So leaving their present isn't really an option. Being aware of it, now that's the choice. And that's what makes this easier. Since you're dealing with something that lives in you and you're in it and it's all around you and and you're made of it and it makes up the world around you. It's not a matter of distance. It's a matter of awareness. So choosing to practice awareness is choosing to practice the presence. And the more aware of it you are, the more of it you benefit from. Again, we're not dealing with something far away and we're trying to climb our way up a ladder to prove our worth. No, you were already counted worthy. That's, again, let's keep this easy. You're not even trying to save yourself. I know that sounds great in certain spiritual conscious communities. Stop looking for a savior. Learn to save yourself. I'm sorry, but even they got it wrong. They're no different than the Christians who are still looking for one. Either looking for a savior or trying to be your own savior, both problematic because they forget the fact that you're already saved. A savior already came and did all the hard work for you. We're just doing maintenance. We're just participating in a finished work. We're not working. I call this work, but this is maintenance. This is maintenance work. I didn't build this from scratch. I'm not starting from the ground up. I'm starting on someone else's shoulders. They did all this work before me. I start where they finished, not where they started. And that's even a law of impartation. That's a law of generations. So again, keeping this stuff simple. No, you don't have to work that hard in order to start to experience the supernatural. You have to be consistent. It does take dedication, but it's not hard. Typically, we dedicate ourselves to anything we actually care about. So if it's something you actually want, I don't believe it's any way you could be genuinely seeking and not find. So remember, keep this stuff simple. Like they used to say, keep it simple, but I'm not going to call you stupid. No insults here. So that's something I would look at. If I were you, I'd examine myself. Are there any areas where I'm adding steps to this? If I don't believe this is easy, why do I not believe this is easy? What steps have I added to this? What steps are completely unnecessary? Is there a way to simplify this? How do I want to experience this every day? That's the way you need to practice it. I interact with the royal family just by talking to them like any other person and having dialogue with them, setting aside time for them, being intentional. It is building a relationship. You're not necessarily going to start off as the expert on the person the first time you talk to them. That's what it's called a relationship for, not just an experience or an encounter. You encounter them often. You get to know them over time. Think about your friends. Think about your family. There's things that you know about them now just because you continued to interact with them over time. The more and more you got to know them, the more you learned about them. And then if you're around them a lot, their ways become your ways. And they didn't necessarily have to sit you down and say, okay, do X, Y, and Z. No, you were just with them and picked up on their behavior. So hopefully this was able to inspire you. Please keep this simple. Let spirituality be easy. They already love you. They already did all the hard work. Let yourself receive it as something that's finished that you just get to maintain and be a part of. That's it for this session. If you want to connect with me, all the other things that I have going on, courses, classes, one-on-one sessions, everything can be found on my website, caveofmystery.org. Everything is on my homepage. So that's it. Until next time, y'all be blessed. Later.